So your business has been growing through word of mouth, sales outreach, and maybe some paid ads, but now you're hitting a ceiling and you think you need content. You see your competitors pumping out short form videos, longer form videos, podcasts, and you just think we need a content team. You've probably looked at the number and see your competitors also get millions of views for free with organic content and a more buzzing community, and you pay hundreds and thousands of dollars to get the same views, but you never have the community and sometimes not the conversion. But the problem is you've never built a content team before. Do you get a writer, a videographer, a video editor, a content strategist? Where do you actually start for your business? You tried, you failed, and you gave up. Well, you don't have to. I'm Matthew and I run a video content agency here in London. I've helped over a dozen businesses build their content teams from zero. And today I want to walk you through the exact framework for building a content team, who to hire and when, how to plan your content, and the KPIs that actually matter at different stages of that journey. At the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to build a content engine that drives real results. So let's dive in. Before you make a single hire, you need to understand where you're starting from. Most businesses make the mistake of hiring for what they think they need, not what they actually need. I need you to hire for what would move the needle for your business. So this is your checklist. First, you need to define your objectives for content, not vague goals like increase brand awareness. I mean very measurable things that move your business goals. Are you trying to generate leads? Is it email signups or demos you're looking out for? Are you trying to reduce your sales cycle length? It means your content has to educate buyers and answer objections they usually have in your sales calls. Are you trying to establish thought leadership in a specific niche? It means you need high authority and deeply researched pieces of content. You need to write down your top 3 objectives. Everything else flows from this. This is very important. Secondly, inventory your existing asset. Most businesses I work with are buzzing to start creating content, but when we do our inventory, we realize they have so much content we can actually start using and mix up with the content we'll be creating together. You have blog posts we can convert into videos. You have webinars you filmed from months ago. You have presentations that could become case study, customer testimonials that could become testimonial storytelling videos. So you need to do your inventory and check what do we have now that we can turn into social media content. Make a spreadsheet and list everything. You might find that you might not have to immediately start creating content. So while you're trying to build your team, you have content you can very well repurpose and start posting. Third, understand your distribution channels. Where does your primary audience actually consume content? If you're a B2B company that sells more to execs, your ideal customer persona is probably on LinkedIn and not TikTok. If you're a B2C targeting millennials, maybe Instagram and YouTube. If you're a technical B2B, your audience might actually be on Reddit and niche Discord forums. So you need to find out where does my ICP, my audience, hang out more often. Because when we are starting, we don't want to spread ourselves thin on too many platforms. We need to find out our primary platforms and invest all our energy there. Also, this determines what format you need to create and what skills you're hiring for. If I'm doing Reddit primarily, I will edit a different skill set than if I was doing YouTube primarily. Even LinkedIn and Instagram are totally different skill sets. Fourth, calculate your realistic budget. Like a bare bone content team will cost you around $60,000 to $80,000 yearly, or $3 to $5K monthly if you're starting with contractors. So you need to be intentional with how much you've budgeted for this and be aware it's an investment, not a side project. Another mistake I see is people not factoring in tools, video editing, project management, cameras maybe. You need to also factor in gadgets into your budget. Now that you've done your pre-content audit, let's head into who to actually hire. Here's the truth most agencies would not tell you. You do not need 10 people to start a content team. You need one exceptional person to start, and you need to hire the right role first. Let me quickly break down the 5-stage hiring roadmap based on your company's size and revenue. Stage 1 is a strategic generalist. This could be your first hire. It could be just one person, but you're looking for someone who is a content producer and a strategist hybrid. This person can do 3 things: strategy, they can write good scripts, and they can do basic filming and editing. They can help you develop your content roadmap, develop scripts, edit videos basically, or manage contractors who edit videos, which means they have the eye for content and they know what is good and bad content. You need to watch out for somebody who wants to only do strategy, but they're not really interested in the production. You do not have the budget for that yet if you're a stage 1 business. Someone who has only worked at big companies and they always manage teams might not have the scrappiness you need. Someone who cannot show you measurable results from their previous work. A result could just be they have experience creating content and scaling content. Stage 2 businesses I would say need a specialist. These are businesses that are doing just over $2 million a year. If you've gone through stage 1 and your generalist has tested the waters and now you're seeing traction on specific platform, it's time to double down on that platform that is bringing the most returns. In that case, you need a specialist for that platform. If Instagram video is crushing it, hire someone who is great at short form content. If YouTube video is crushing it, hire someone who is great at long form content. If SEO or social, so you need to just know what platform is crushing it, and then we'll bring in a specialist to support our generalist. The key here is data. Look at what is actually performing and hire to scale that specific thing. Stage 3 businesses that are doing over $5 million a year can then hire a content manager. This is where you have 2 or 3 people executing and you need one person to orchestrate the whole operation. Your content manager owns content calendar, team coordination, quality control, contractor management, performance reporting, and process documentation. This is different from your strategist or your generalist. Your strategist is strategizing, but they also execute. The manager makes sure it's created on time, at quality, and within budget. Remember, this is for stage 3 businesses. Stage 1, generalist. Stage 2, specialist. And stage 3, a manager. Stage 4 for business doing over $10 million a year, then you want to build specialist teams for your specific channels. At this point, I want to presume you are running dedicated content channels and each need special attention. Because one mistake I see is we have a team of 2 editors and 1 strategist, and they're all doing your YouTube, your TikTok, your LinkedIn, your Instagram. I assure you, you'll get good content, but it might not be great and up there. And as you expand your operation, the volume becomes so much that generalists cannot keep up. You need people who live and breathe this platform. For YouTube, you're talking about a producer, a videographer, and an editor. If you do Instagram and other social platforms, you need a strategist, a designer, and a community manager. For a podcast team, you need a producer, an editor, and a show notes writer. And understand that for these teams, there could be multiple people. So basically, first, you can start with a generalist, then move to a specialist who's either a videographer or an editor, then a content manager to manage your generalist and your specialist. And as that team scales, then you have to build specialist teams for different platforms. Simple as. So now you have your content team and they're creating content, but what do they actually create that converts? Let me give you the planning framework that prevents random acts of content. Like I advise my clients, you need to start with content pillars. These are 3 to 5 pieces of content that everything else you create ladders up to. For an example, let's say you're a B2B project management software. Your content pillars could be project management best practices, team productivity and collaboration, remote work optimization, agile and workflow methodologies, leadership and team management. Every piece of content you create has to fall into one of these buckets. This means you're building authority in specific areas rather than being random. Next, you need to map the content to your buyer's journey. Not every piece of content is created the same or for the same purpose. There are 3 classes of content. Think about it like a funnel. There's the top of the funnel which appeals to a broad audience in your niche, but they might not really convert, but they help people to be aware of your brand. There's the middle of the funnel, which is a little bit more intentional. It's more educational content. So it's targeted at people who have specific problems your business solves. And then there's bottom of the funnel content, which is practically conversion content. It's content for people you want to become your customers, people you want to sell to, sales pieces of content. The mistake I see is businesses take the bottom of the content and make that their entire content persona. You are exhausting your audience if all you do is sell. You need to mix it up properly, entertain, educate, and then convert. After hiring a content team, and realizing a content strategy that ties back to your content pillars, you need a content system. How do you want to create this content? With the businesses I work with, I am in once or twice every single week. There are multiple loops, multiple chances to sit, analyze strategy, plan, write script, film, and push content out there. You need to decide how your content team works. Somebody needs to own that process. It could be weekly, it could be monthly, you batch produce, whatever it is, you need to have a system for that. What I like to do with the clients I work with is having a content brief. Before any piece of content is created, have a brief and a template that answers every question that will make that piece of content not be random. This brief should include your working title, your target audience and their pain point, primary keyword or topic, the content angle or your unique perspective, the key points to cover, the call to action and conversion goal. Are there any SEO requirements for the captions? What is the distribution plan? What platforms? And thirdly, what is the success metric for this piece of content? So for your next planning meeting, you know exactly what you're looking out for the pieces of content you pushed out that week based on your content brief. And next, you want to create a content library. Have somebody who is constantly filming, constantly writing, and constantly taking pictures in your office. Do not only create when you have to make content. Have a bank. And make sure you organize these into a folder, a central repository. Have a drive, have a Google Drive, whatever it is, let it be a folder where this is organized. Also have a library of your content calendar, publish content archive and the performance data. This will guide your next pieces of content, your content template, your brand guidelines in case you're working with contractors, image and video asset like I mentioned earlier, research and data resources, and pieces of content that you have mapped out as evergreen. These can always be repurposed into different ideas, different formats, different hooks. Trust me, your future self will thank you when you're not hunting from that one video from 6 months ago that performed really well. And finally, let's talk about KPIs and successes. What do we measure for? Because most companies measure vanity metrics that make them feel good but doesn't do anything for their businesses. Here's what to measure for each stage of your content team maturity. In your first 6 months, you're establishing baseline performance, so you want to track content velocity. How many pieces do you publish per week, and what is the consistency rate in your publishing? At this point, you're building your muscle for regular output. Get above 90% before worrying about anything else, which is if you plan to put out 5 videos a week, make sure you're putting out 4 consistently before worrying about the next phase of your content team. And there are things you need to track, like have a tracking spreadsheet where you track your audience growth. Audience growth could be website traffic from content month on month, email list signups, social media follower growth by channel, and make sure you set realistic target. 5 to 10% is realistic for an early stage content team. Do not compare yourselves to established businesses who have spent years building content teams. Also track your engagement rates, video watch time, and how many people are commenting and sharing. This shows if the content you're creating actually resonates. And once you've collected data for 6 months, you need to shift to optimization metrics. Now let's analyze content performance by type. What formats drive the most traffic? What formats drive the most conversions? What topics drive the highest engagement? Create a simple scorecard, and this teaches you what exactly your business needs to double down on. And after you've spent some good time and you have all of these, the final stage for me is cost per lead. How much are you spending on your content team and how much are you bringing back? But do not obsess about this in the first 6 months, like I said. The total monthly content cost divided by number of leads that comes through content, and you would only know this if you're tracking accordingly, equal to your cost per lead. Now compare this to your other channels, your paid channels especially. Good content should beat paid channels by 12 to 16 months. That is my experience. For instance, if you're spending $10,000 or pounds on your content team and you're generating 100 leads, that's $100 per lead. If your paid ads are costing you $200 per lead, your content is winning and you should invest more in that direction. This one is a bit extra. Only do this if you're well established, but there's something I call content attribution. That's mapping the customer content journey and having that help you invest in the right content channels. Mapping their first touch attribution. What content channel or piece are most of your paid customers interacting with first? That's your first touch acquisition. What is your last touch acquisition? What did they watch last before they converted? Was it a long form video, a short form video, was it a live stream? That should be well noted. Then what is your multi-touch attribution? What content journey did they take? Some people start, they find you on Instagram, then they go find you on LinkedIn, and they spend more time on LinkedIn before they converted. That journey helps you know what and where to invest more time and energy on. You need to use UTM parameters religiously. Every piece of content you share that has a link to it should backlink to UTM so you know exactly who is coming from where. So you can track it in Google Analytics or your management CRM platform. And finally, before we wrap up, let's talk about the biggest mistakes businesses make when they're building their content teams and how you can avoid them. Mistake 1 is hiring for execution instead of strategy. Businesses want a content team and the first thing they hire for is a video editor. It's great, you might have beautiful videos, but beautiful videos that are not tied to your business goals and have no strategy or system behind them are bound to fail. Now, failure might be 100,000 views and no sales. Failure might also be a 1 million view video that has nothing to do with what your brand stands for. Strategy first, execution second, always. Mistake number 2 is trying to be everywhere at once. You do not have to be on every platform at once. Pick that one platform that has the highest concentration of your ICP and invest more time there. Then diversify as you build more capacity. Mistake number 3 is measuring success too early. Video content is a long game. You might not see ROI in your first 6 months, sometimes maybe even a year. But the thing is, it compounds. When you open YouTube, you see videos from 1 year ago, and that's because they have current videos that are doing quite well, and now YouTube is pushing their older videos. Same with Instagram. Give at least 6 months to establish momentum and 12 months before making any major pivots. That said, if something is not working at all, I'm saying 0 engagement, 0 views on all your channels, please change something. I'm not saying do not change your strategy, change something. You could even change personnel, but still invest in your content team, believe in them. There's a difference between being patient and being stubborn. Mistake number 4, you're not repurposing content. If you're filming webinars and you're not turning them into social media content, you're filming long form videos and not turning them into short, you're wasting content opportunities. You need to build repurposing into your content workflow. Content can work across channels. Mistake number 5 is hiring people without a clear brief. I've seen people hire content creators, give them no clear direction, and get frustrated when the content piece does not convert. That is not the creator's fault, it is a management failure. Every role should have a clear job description, success metrics, and onboarding plan. If you cannot articulate what success means like to that creative in your first 90 days, you're not ready to hire yet. Mistake number 6, which is the final one I'll share, is ignoring your existing audience or customers. The best content takes into cognizance who follow us already. Sometimes in trying to build a content team, ignore the 500 or 1,000 people that already follow us and try to build something entirely different. You need that initial push and momentum of people that follow you first to push your new content pieces. Like those people are living proof that something you've before works, so why don't you use them instead of just abandoning them and building something fresh? Except of course if you bought followers and you're trying to build afresh. Never buy followers, that's another one I should add. Build organically, it helps you in the long run. Building a content team from scratch is really hard. The moment where you question if it's even working at all, compare yourself to competitors who are quite working, where you're just tempted to throw money at paid ads or agencies that claim that you get results or you don't pay, ads like that. But content is the most scalable, defensible growth channel you can build for your business. I'm talking from experience. Like I've done this for multiple businesses. Every piece of content you create is an asset that continues working for you for free. Unlike ads that stop working the moment you stop paying, great content compounds over time. And I have 2 things to offer you. First, I've put together a free resource bundle for you. Templates for job descriptions, content briefs, KPI tracking, and even an extra on where exactly do you find this talent. You can find the link in the description. Secondly, if you rather have a business, embed within your business and become your content team, so you skip all of the process of hiring, onboarding, training, and just get straight to executing. That's exactly what I do for businesses. I show up once or twice every week, strategize, film, edit, and work with your internal team on distributing the content across channels. All of that expertise, and you only have to pay one fee and not like the salaries of 5 or 6 people in your entire content team. If that sounds good to you, book a call with me. We do have some free slots at the moment. Let's see if we'll be a good fit working together. If you found this helpful, hit the thumbs up so more businesses out there can find this video and build content teams that actually convert into business goals. And also subscribe for more video content strategy, and growth marketing techniques that actually work. This is what I do day to day as an agency owner. Thanks for watching, and now go build something great.